Coach, I guess maybe just kind of start with general observations. And did you see a little more cleaner execution this week compared to last?
Yeah, it was similar from the standpoint there was a lot of back and forth. Both sides of the ball had success. We were much better today from a non-playing penalty standpoint, which was good to see on both sides of the ball. So got to continue to stress that and move that in the right direction.
Coach, obviously last year their season was kind of ended premature by injuries with Dink and Travion. How have they kind of responded this year, and how big of a piece do you expect them to play on the D-line?
Yeah, they'll both play a huge piece. Both those guys, we're trying to be really, really smart as we're getting them back. Dink's done a little more, but Trey's done some really good things early, and we're trying to be smart with him right now as we're trying to get him back in the fold. But both those guys will have major impacts this fall.
I know he's a young guy and still learning, but noticed that Joe Head was kind of started out at jack linebacker in the spring, but noticed he's moved to defensive end.
Yeah.
What have you seen from him with that move?
Yeah, I've seen a guy that's got great physicality and a really, really high motor. He plays the game the way you want him to play it. Again, a young guy that got a lot of ball ahead of him, but just love his temperament, his personality, and how he goes about it.
Where would you say you saw the most improvement or progression from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2?
Yeah, I do. I think it's the non-playing penalty part of it, just being able to play clean before the snap, being able to play clean from a substitution standpoint, getting guys on and off the field, as game-like as possible. So, again, we've got to continue to trend that way.
Coach, you've had most of your wide receivers now, for the spring and the fall. I mean, now that you've had a chance to kind of work with them and kind of see what they do well, how would you kind of assess the talent level of that group?
Yeah, I think we got good players in that room, and I think we've gotten to the point to where we've got some quality depth. So I think between week 1, week 2, week 3, as we get into it, I think we're going to be able to play 7 to maybe 8 guys from the receiver room and count on those guys to play winning football. It's kind of like I talked about last week. It's not just guys that can go play, it's guys that can go win. So I feel good about where we're at in that room.
You had some more hard physical runs from Kevon Lee today. What do you like about his running style?
Yeah, just a guy he's a +2 guy. He can find a way to where, he can gain 6, but he's going to fall for 8. And he's got to continue to do that. He's got to give us that physicality at the position. But it's not just Kevon. We got some other guys that can do it as well. But just love just having the big physical part of who Kevon is, being able to have that is huge.
Coach, obviously a lot of new faces on the offensive line. What did you see from the guys today?
Yeah, again, we've got guys in that room that are, they're doing a really good job of getting better every day, being incredibly intentional when they're in the building, and we're moving some guys around to make sure that we have the best 8 or 9 with position flexibility as we get into it, and I think we're finding the right ones. So again, I'm proud of that group. We've got a lot of work to do and a long way to go, but that group's in a good spot.
Coach, we had a chance to talk to Shad Williams about the program leading up to this. How much have you seen the impact on that, getting them ready for fall ball, the physically, and how have they held up during the stresses of contact work?
Yeah, I think when you look at us today compared to, January, I think our bodies look incredibly different. And that's a credit to our guys committing, but it's a credit to what we're doing in the strength and conditioning program. So we've made great strides in there. Shad and his staff has done an unbelievable job getting us to this point, and they'll be a huge part of it in season as well.
If I gave you a spectrum between not ready at all and we're ready to play a game, where would you assess your team is?
Yeah, I'd say we were right there in the middle, and I do. I like where we're at. I'd also like that we got 2 weeks left to be able to clean stuff up and dial in on some of the detail and get ready for an opponent, and that's something that I think all of our guys are looking forward to.
Last week you mentioned about some guys that just got here in June that you need to get some reps for. 2 of those guys at corner, Diego and Montre Miller. How have you seen those guys kind of catch up with the rest of the group, and how they developed?
Yeah, both of those guys have been fighting a couple of things, so hadn't had them the entire time. Nothing major, but guys that, again, have played a bunch of football. And so there's a maturity level, there's an understanding of how we need to do what we do, and that's exactly what we needed for the room with us being as young as we are in there. So proud of where they're at. Need those guys to be 100% healthy to be able to get the work they need to get, but they've been a good addition.
Coach, the specialist, I know you'd prefer to score touchdowns, but you still got to kick extra points. But how would you kind of assess maybe the competition between those specialists right now?
Yeah, it's neck and neck. I think I talked about it last week, but we've got one more week of some competition to work through and go through before we dial in on one guy and name him a starter from a kickoff standpoint or from a field goal standpoint. I like where both of them are. Neither one has just created a ton of separation, which I really do. I think that's a good thing because both have been solid, and we'll see how this week unfolds.
You invested yesterday in a walkthrough type practice. What does that say about the attention to getting ready, not just for a game, but for the whole game weekend, going through the pregame and then the game action itself like today?
Yeah, I think our guys, everything's still going to be their first time to do it, So yesterday, our No Sweat Thursday was the first time they'd ever done anything like that. And so them understanding what that needs to look like as we get into the season, how important those days are, how much we can get done in a walkthrough setting, and operate with great urgency as we get ready to play while physically wanting to be fresh and fast on Saturday. So that was good for us, and then we'll continue to do that as we get closer.
You mentioned 2 weeks left. Do you have a strict schedule when you want to make the transition from camp to pregame, or is that be determined by what you think from the scrimmage today?
No, we'll be a lot more scout exchange next week, so minimal ones-on-ones, twos-on-twos as we get into it. It'll be much more of a game week. We'll get 2 of those with still some good-on-good work as we get closer to Wednesday and Thursday of this next week with our mock game next Saturday. So really dialed in on what I want it to look like over the next 2 weeks. And again, it'll be more game week than fall camp.
Coach, just piggybacking off Paul's question about a couple of defensive backs, but as a group, are they giving Blake and the offense the looks that you'd like for him to be getting at this point?
Yeah, I think so. Again, we got to get some guys back. We're kind of in the mode right now of we've got some dings where we got to get some guys back. We're going to get them back, and we're looking forward to that. But that's a group that I think is going to be able to, again, roll quite a few guys similar to how we are at the receiver position. So there has been some growth. I think there's been some really good developments because some guys have been down over the last few practices. So I think in the long game, that's probably going to benefit us as we get these other guys back.
Coach, before you ran the whole show, you were on the offensive side exclusively, but when you go spend time with the defense, what kind of things are you looking for, and what do you kind of emphasize to your coaches?
Energy, toughness, physicality, and getting the ball out. I mean, that's what we want. We want guys that play the game in a violent way. We want to get the ball out, get the ball back, and guys that play with relentless effort. I say it all the time, but never seen a great play made without great effort, and I think our guys understand that. And that's what we're looking for. We want it to look like a defense that's playing with their hair on fire every single snap.
All right. Thank y'all.
Thank y'all.